I didn't know the man I married was quietly breaking himself just to keep our home standing. I didn't know he was sacrificing the very things that made him happy. And I only discovered the truth the night I thought our marriage had finally collapsed. This is the story of the sacrifices I never saw until it was almost too late. People say your partner becomes familiar over time. They say comfort replaces excitement, routine replaces romance, and silence replaces deep conversation. I used to believe all of that. I used to think nothing big could surprise me about my husband. We had been married for 9 years. 9 years of bills, birthdays, long nights, cold dinners, tight budgets, and small joys. 9 years of living side by side, convinced I knew everything about him. His habits, his dreams, the way he liked his coffee, the way he rubbed the back of his neck when he was stressed. I thought I knew him completely. I was wrong. It began subtly. A missed joke here. A forced smile there. A sigh he thought I didn't hear. A late-night shower where I caught him leaning his head against the wall like he was carrying weight I couldn't see. But I ignored it. That's the part that hurts me the most. Not what he hid, but what I chose not to notice. I was busy. The kids needed attention. My work was demanding. The days blended together until I stopped reading between the lines. Stopped paying attention to the tiny cracks forming in the walls of our marriage. I didn't know that while I complained about tired feet or sleepless nights, he was running to keep our life from falling apart. The first sign. One night, our daughter asked him, "Daddy, why don't you play the guitar anymore?" He froze. Just for a second, but long enough for me to feel something shift inside the room. He had loved that guitar. He used to spend hours on weekends learning songs, strumming until his fingers were red. Music was the one thing that lit him up, the one hobby that kept him sane. Before we begin, if you enjoy stories that touch the heart and remind us of life's quiet miracles, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It truly helps our little storytelling family grow. But the guitar had been untouched for months. He laughed it off. "Oh, sweetheart, Daddy's just busy these days." She accepted the answer. I didn't. Yet. I didn't dig deeper either. I should have. The money situation. Another sign came a few days later when I noticed him staring at the bank account on his phone, jaw tightening. We weren't rich, but we weren't drowning either, or so I thought. I asked, "Everything okay?" He clicked his phone off too quickly. "Yeah, just checking something for work." A lie. I didn't realize it then, but later, I would replay that moment again and again, wishing I had asked better questions. The night that changed everything. But the biggest sign, the one I couldn't ignore, was the night I found him asleep at the dining table. It was almost midnight. Every light was off except the dim kitchen lamp. He was slumped forward, his head resting on a pile of open mail, bills scattered around him. And right there, beside his hand, was something I had never seen before. A past due notice. A second one. A third one. Bills I didn't know existed. Debt I didn't know we had. My heart cracked open. Why didn't he tell me? Why did he think he had to carry it alone? I touched his shoulder gently. He woke up startled, embarrassed, trying to gather the papers before I could read them. But it was too late. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. "I didn't want you to worry," he said, voice breaking in a way I had never heard before. "It's my job to take care of things. I thought I could handle it." The truth hit me like cold water. My husband, the man who always looked strong, always acted fine, always said he was okay, was drowning. Quietly. Alone. For us. And I hadn't seen it. I stood there in the dim kitchen, staring at the stack of unpaid bills. The numbers didn't even make sense at first. They blurred together, mocking me, accusing me of the blindness I had allowed to grow in my own home. My husband sat silently, rubbing his forehead like he was bracing for impact. A part of me wanted to get angry. Another part wanted to cry. But mostly, I just felt guilty. Deeply guilty. How long has this been going on? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he gathered the bills into a messy pile, as if hiding them would erase the truth. "A few months," he finally said. "Maybe more." "More." My voice cracked. "How much more?" He exhaled, one long, exhausted breath, and leaned back in the chair. "Almost a year." A year. A whole year of carrying debt I didn't know about. A year of going without things he needed, so that I wouldn't worry. A year of pretending everything was fine. My heart twisted painfully. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked again. He looked at me, really looked at me. And the sadness in his eyes was something I had never noticed before. "Because I never paid attention. I'm the man of the house," he whispered. "I thought if I couldn't handle it, I was failing you." That sentence, it broke something inside me. The illusion of strength. I had married a good man. A hard-working man. But somewhere along the way, I forgot that even the strongest people break. I forgot that the protector needs protecting too. We sat in silence for a long time. The only sound was the humming refrigerator, and my own heartbeat pounding like a drum in my chest. Finally, he spoke again. "I didn't want you to think I was irresponsible, or weak, or—" "I would never think that," I interrupted. He gave a small, tired smile. "Yes, you would. Not intentionally. But you'd start to worry. And then you'd stress. And then you'd blame yourself. He swallowed hard. "I wanted to shield you from all of that." "Shield me? From our own life? Is this why you stopped playing guitar?" I asked softly. He hesitated, then nodded. "I sold it." His words hit me like a punch to the chest. "You sold it?" He looked ashamed. "Yeah. I needed quick money to cover one of the rent shortages. I thought I could buy it back later, but then things kept piling up. And you know how important that guitar was to me, so I didn't want you to know." I covered my mouth with my hand. My husband had sold the one thing that brought him peace, his music, just to keep us afloat. And he never said a word. The unseen burdens. "Why didn't you ask me for help?" I whispered. He sighed and leaned his elbows on the table. "Because you already do so much. You take care of the kids. You work. You make this house a home. I didn't want to add more pressure on you." A tear slid down my cheek. He reached forward to wipe it away, but I grabbed his hand instead. "No," I said firmly. "You don't get to carry this alone. We are a team. Marriage is not your side and my side. It's our life. Our struggle. Our problem." He lowered his head. "I know that. But somewhere along the way, I forgot it too." The weight of that admission settled between us like a heavy fog. The job he didn't tell me about. There was one last envelope on the table, different from the rest. It had a company logo on it. One I didn't recognize. "What's this?" I asked. He hesitated. "Too long. That's my second job." I blinked. "Second job?" He nodded slowly. "I've been working nights, a few hours after my shift, just to catch up on the bills." My chest tightened. "That's why you're always so tired," I whispered. "That's why you fall asleep so fast. Why you've lost weight. Why you don't eat half the time." He didn't look at me. He didn't need to. I already knew the truth. He'd been breaking himself for us, silently, steadily, hoping I would never notice. And I hadn't. The breaking point. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked for the third time, my voice barely audible. This time, he answered without hesitation. "Because I didn't want you to see me struggle." I closed my eyes as the tears finally fell freely. But when I opened them, something had changed inside me. Something fierce. Something protective. Something determined. He had spent a year sacrificing pieces of himself to hold our life together. Now it was my turn. I took his hand. "Listen to me," I said, steady and clear. "There is nothing weak about being human. Nothing weak about needing help. Nothing weak about sharing burdens. But what is weak is a marriage where one person bleeds in silence while the other thinks everything is fine. He looked up at me slowly. We fix this, I said. Together. Starting now. For the first time in months, he finally let himself breathe. The wall he had built, brick by brick, slowly began to crumble. But neither of us knew then that the biggest sacrifice he made, the one that would change everything, was still hidden. And I wouldn't discover it until the night I found the letter. The next few days felt unreal. We talked more than we had in months. Real conversations, the kind that hurt and healed at the same time. I helped him organize the bills, called the companies, made payments where we could, and arranged extensions where we couldn't. For once, we handled things together, the way a marriage was supposed to be. But even though the financial fog slowly started to clear, something else lingered in the air. A heaviness around my husband that I couldn't touch, couldn't name, couldn't fix. He was trying. God, he was trying. But there was something he still wasn't telling me. I could feel it. The distant look. He would drift off mid-conversation. He'd stare at the kids longer than usual, like memorizing them. Some nights, I'd wake up and find him sitting on the edge of the bed, head in his hands. One night I asked, "Are you okay?" He forced a smile and said, "Yeah, just tired. I'll be fine." But his eyes told a different story. Exhaustion was part of it. But this was something deeper. Fear. Worry. Or maybe shame. The closet door. On the fourth day, while cleaning our bedroom, I noticed the closet door slightly open. My husband was always meticulous about closing it. A small habit from his childhood. If he left it open, something was bothering him. Inside, everything looked normal. Shirts lined up. Shoes organized. A box labeled old papers sitting on the top shelf. I wasn't trying to snoop. But when I reached for a blanket, the box shifted and tumbled down, spilling its contents on the floor. Old receipts. A few notebooks. Expired cards. A folded sheet of paper with my name on it. My breath caught. It wasn't handwritten. It was typed. Formal. Crisp edges. Almost too clean, like it hadn't been opened in a long time. The envelope. It was addressed to me. Not honey. Not my love. Not my nickname. Just my full name. Something inside me twisted. The envelope wasn't sealed, just tucked closed. It felt heavy, even though it weighed almost nothing. I stared at it for a long time, my heart thudding painfully. Should I open it? Should I wait for him? Should I pretend I didn't see it? But something about the way he'd been acting. Something about the way he'd been disappearing mentally. Something about the way he had stared at the kids. I had to know. I slid the letter out. The first line shattered me. The letter. If you are reading this, it means I couldn't fix everything. My knees almost buckled. I kept reading, breath trembling. I know I should have talked to you. I know I should have shared the burden instead of hiding it. But I couldn't let you see how far I'd fallen. My hand clutched the paper. Fun. From what? Why was he writing like this? I continued. I wanted to protect you from the stress, the fear, the embarrassment. I didn't want you to feel you married the wrong man. Tears blurred the words. I took the second job because the debt grew faster than I could control it. And I didn't tell you, because I thought if I disappointed you, I could never forgive myself. I wiped my eyes with the back of my hand. Then I reached the line that made my whole body go cold. I had a doctor's appointment last month. The results weren't what I hoped. I stopped breathing. My vision swirled. No, no, no. I read further, hands shaking violently. I didn't tell you because I didn't know how. I didn't want to scare you until I knew more. And I didn't want you to think you had to carry everything alone. My stomach twisted painfully, panic flooding through me. Illness? What illness? What results? What was he hiding? I flipped the page to the last paragraph, the one that felt like a punch to the soul. If something happens to me, Please tell the kids I love them more than anything. And please remember that everything I did, every sacrifice, was for you." My heart shattered in one violent, silent crack. I dropped to the floor, sobbing into my hands, the letter trembling beside me. I didn't hear my husband come up behind me, but I felt him when he said in a broken whisper, "You weren't supposed to find that." I turned around, tears streaming, anger and fear mixing in my chest. "What results?" I cried. "What appointment? What is going on?" His face drained of color. Not because I knew, but because now he had to tell me the truth he had been hiding even deeper than the debt. He sank onto the floor across from me, and when he finally spoke, his voice was barely a breath. "I didn't want you to worry, but the doctor found something." The world stopped. Literally stopped. He wasn't just exhausted. He wasn't just stressed. He wasn't just overworked. There was something else, something he'd been hiding because he didn't want to break me. And I suddenly realized, the financial problems weren't the biggest sacrifice at all. The biggest one was his silence about this. For a moment, neither of us breathed. He sat across from me on the bedroom floor, his shoulders slumped, his eyes wet, not with fear, but with shame. Shame. As if whatever he was about to say was his fault. As if the pain in his eyes was something he deserved. I held the letter in my trembling hand. My voice came out as a whisper, raw and desperate. "What did the doctor find?" He looked down at his hands. Hands that had worked, built, carried, sacrificed. Hands that had held our babies, fixed broken things, wiped my tears, tied shoes, lifted groceries, and carried burdens far too heavy for one man. Those hands were shaking. "It's nothing major," he said quickly, forcing a smile that hurt to watch. I leaned closer. "Please don't lie to me. Not anymore." His jaw tightened. A long silence followed. So long it felt like the air itself was holding its breath. Finally he spoke. "It's my heart." Everything inside me froze. He ran a hand over his face as if trying to wipe the fear away before I could see it. "The doctor found arrhythmia," he said. "An irregular heartbeat. Stress-related, probably." He swallowed hard. "They said it's not dangerous yet, but it could become a problem if I keep overworking myself." I stared at him, feeling my pulse hammering in my ears. "Stress-related," I repeated softly. "Because of the bills? Because of the second job? Because you were carrying everything alone?" His shoulders sagged. "I didn't want you to feel guilty." I shook my head, tears slipping down. "This isn't guilt," I whispered. "This is terror." He looked up at me then, and for the first time in our 9 years of marriage, I saw pure vulnerability in his eyes. Not fear of dying, not fear of illness. Fear of disappointing me. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being a burden. "I didn't want you to worry," he repeated, voice cracking. "I know how much you already do. I know how much you juggle with the kids and work in the house. I didn't want to add my health problems to the list." My chest tightened painfully. "How long have you known?" I asked. "A little over a month." "And you kept working both jobs?" He closed his eyes. "I had to." I wiped my tears, almost angrily. "No," I said. "You thought you had to. You convinced yourself that carrying everything alone was your duty. But it wasn't. It never was." He looked down again. I crawled closer to him, until my knees touched his. "You're my husband," I said gently. "I'm supposed to be your safe place. Your partner. Not someone you protect from the truth." His breath shook. "I didn't want to scare you." I touched his face. "You scared me by hiding it." His eyes flooded instantly. Tears he had held back for far too long. He finally broke. The moment my hand touched his cheek, something inside him snapped. Quietly, painfully, like a string pulled too tight. He leaned forward and buried his face in my shoulder. And then, he cried. Not loudly, not with sobs, but with deep, silent tremors of a man who had carried too much for too long. A man who believed strength meant silence. A man who thought sacrifices were meant to be hidden. I wrapped my arms around him and held him like he had held me so many times before. "It's okay," I whispered. "We'll fix this. We'll fix everything." "I'm sorry," he choked out. "I'm so sorry." I shook my head. "No. I'm sorry. For not noticing. For letting you fight alone." We stayed like that on the floor, husband and wife, finally seeing each other clearly for the first time in months. The promise we made. When he finally pulled back, his eyes were red but lighter, like a weight had been lifted. "I need you to promise me something," I said, holding his hands firmly. He nodded slowly. "Anything." "No more secrets," I whispered. "No more protecting me from things I deserve to know. No more trying to be a hero. I don't need a hero. I need my husband." He closed his eyes, tears escaping again. "Okay," he whispered. "I promise. And we're going back to the doctor," I added gently but firmly. "I know," he said. "I'll go this week." I squeezed his hands. "And I'm going with you." For the first time in weeks he smiled, a real smile, small but warm. "Okay," he said again. The quiet after the storm. That night he didn't sleep on the edge of the bed. He didn't wake up gasping. He didn't disappear into his thoughts. He slept in my arms. Deeply. Safely. Peacefully. As if, for the first time in a long time, he wasn't fighting alone. But even then, even after all the truths had spilled out, there was one more sacrifice. One last thing he hadn't told me. And I wouldn't discover it until the day he didn't come home from work. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of appointments, tests, follow-ups, doctor visits, and long conversations in waiting rooms. 3 weeks of learning how much stress can truly damage a person, and how much silence can kill a marriage. But things were getting better. Slowly. We made a budget together. We cut expenses. He quit the second job after the doctor warned him again to reduce stress. And for the first time in months, I saw color return to his face. Light return to his eyes. Hope returned to our life. He even talked about buying back his guitar one day. It felt like we were healing. Then came the afternoon that nearly shattered everything we had rebuilt. The call that stopped my heart. He always texted me when he left work. Even something as simple as, "On my way." But that day the minutes passed. Then an hour. Then 2. Nothing. No message. No call. No response. At first I tried to stay calm. Maybe he's busy. Maybe he's in traffic. Maybe his phone died. But then the phone rang. Unknown number. My stomach dropped. I answered, already shaking. "Hello." A man's voice. "Ma'am, are you the wife of?" The world tilted. "Yes," I whispered. "What happened?" "There's been an incident at his workplace." Incident. The word hit me like ice water poured down my spine. "He's conscious," the man quickly added, and I burst into tears of relief right there. "But he collapsed while lifting equipment. He's being taken to the hospital now." Collapsed. Hospital. My vision blurred. "I am on my way," I said, fumbling for my keys, heart thrashing violently against my ribs. The longest drive of my life. Every red light felt like a curse. Every slow car felt like a threat. Every second felt like a scream. I prayed the entire way. Not fancy prayers. Not poetic ones. Just 5 trembling words repeated over and over. "Please let him be okay." By the time I reached the hospital, my legs were shaking so badly I had to hold the wall to stay upright. I rushed to the desk. "My husband. He was brought here. He collapsed." The nurse nodded gently. "He's stable. They're running tests." Stable. The most beautiful word I had ever heard. They led me to his room. And when I walked in, the look on his face. He was sitting up in bed, pale and exhausted, but alive. Alive. I rushed to him and grabbed his face with both hands, crying and laughing at the same time. "You scared me to death," I whispered. He gave a weak smile. I'm sorry. It was stupid. I shouldn't have lifted that equipment. I just didn't want to make the younger guys do it. I stared at him, stunned. He had collapsed because he was trying not to inconvenience anyone. Even now, even after everything, he was still sacrificing himself. I sat beside him and held his hand. You have to stop doing that, I said softly but firmly. You're not invincible. You don't have to prove anything. He looked down. I know. I didn't want to be the weak one. I squeezed his hand. You're not weak, I whispered. You're tired. And tired doesn't mean failing. It means you've been strong for too long without help. His eyes filled with tears, the quiet, defeated kind. I'm really trying, he said. I know, I whispered. And I'm here. Always. The doctor's news. The doctor entered the room, flipping through charts. It's a stress-induced collapse, he explained. His heart rhythm was irregular when he arrived, but he's stabilized now. My husband closed his eyes briefly, relief and embarrassment mixed. The doctor continued, firm but kind. You must reduce physical strain. No heavy lifting. No overworking. And no taking on more than your body can manage. Stress is not just emotional, it's physical. And your heart is telling you that. We both nodded. And, the doctor added, looking directly at him, you need support. This is not something you can manage alone. My husband glanced at me, then nodded again, slower this time. I understand. For the first time, I saw him truly accept it. The final hidden sacrifice. Later, when the doctor left and the room grew quiet, I leaned my head against his shoulder. He sighed, then said softly, there's one more thing I need to tell you. My heart clenched. What is it? He hesitated. I signed up for overtime next month. Before the doctor warned me to stop working so much. It was supposed to help pay off the last debt. I already canceled it, but... He swallowed hard. I kept it a secret so we could finally get ahead. I didn't want you to carry more stress. I closed my eyes. Even after everything, he was still trying to protect me, still sacrificing, still putting himself last. I wrapped my arms around him, pressing my forehead to his. No more hidden sacrifices, I whispered. No more doing everything alone. No more hurting yourself to keep us afloat. We fix things together, not through silent suffering. His breath trembled. Okay, he whispered. I promise. The new beginning. When they released him, I drove us home slowly, my hand resting on his the whole ride. Life wasn't magically perfect. The bills were still there. The responsibilities were still heavy. The stress didn't disappear overnight. But something had changed. We changed. We became partners again. Honest. Open. Connected. And for the first time in months, we laughed. We planned. We dreamed. He even said he wanted to save little by little to buy a guitar again. And I knew. No matter how hard things got. No matter how heavy life became. No matter what came next. He would never carry the weight alone again. Because love isn't made of hidden sacrifices. It's made of shared ones.